This is a tutorial of how to install a Spigot Minecraft server on Windows 10 or Linux with port forwarding. For this, all you're going to need is either a strong enough computer or a spare computer or laptop. For reference, this tutorial will be for GNOME-based Linux distros, including Ubuntu, Manjaro, and Debian. On the screen is a bunch of the timestamps for the different sections being discussed in the video. We are going to start with the software preparation. For this, you are simply going to want to install the newest version of Java. For Windows machines, you should already have a usable or newer version of Java, but for Linux, you are going to have to do some more work. On Windows, you can just head to the Java website and install the newest build of Java, remembering to get the 32-bit and 64-bit versions. On Linux, you are going to want to open a terminal and use java-version to check the version you have. If Java is not already installed, you're going to want to install the newest OpenJDK build. Then, use java-version again to verify it has installed correctly. Okay, so for Windows, the first step we are going to do is to get the files. In the links below, you will find a link to the Spigot site. Here, you can download the build of Minecraft you are going to want to use. For this example, I'm going to use 1.16.1. Once you have this downloaded, you're going to want to make a new folder. In this example, we'll make it on my desktop, but you can move this wherever you want. In this folder, put the jar file in, and make a new text document and name it run.bat, and remove the .txt from the file name. You are now going to want to edit this text file and add this in. This section acts as the amount of RAM you are going to allocate to the server. The amount of RAM you allocate depends on the capacity of the server. Generally, for a server just for friends, allocate something in the range of 2 to 4 gigs of RAM. Make sure not to use more RAM than your system has, leaving for a little bit for the OS to run. If you have a different build, such as Spigot 1.15.2, you're going to want to rename that so it is the same as your jar file name. Now you are going to run this bat file. It should run in a terminal similar to this. Now we need to agree to the EULA. In the EULA.txt file, you want to set the false value to true and save it. Running this again, the server should fully start and a new world will be generated. To stop the server, all you need to do is type stop into the terminal and enter. This is more or less the same as the Windows install, however some things are going to be different. The main difference is we are going to build our own jar file instead of downloading it. Firstly, you are going to want to make a new directory to build the tool. Then you want to download build tools from a link in the description, and put the jar file in this directory. Open a terminal in this directory, then type in the corresponding build command to the build of Spigot you want. For this example, we'll be using java-jar buildtools.jar-rev 1.16.1. Once this builds, you should have your jar file. Then you want to put this jar file into a new directory for the server, then create a new script called start.sh and put this in. This section refers to the allocated RAM in gigabytes, while this section refers to the jar file you will be using to run the server. Once you have saved this, you want to open a terminal in the server folder and type chmod +x start.sh. Then, to start the server, you need to type in sudo./start.sh. Now we need to agree to the EULA. Since the EULA is write protected, you want to open it up in sudo nano. So you want to type in sudo nano eula.txt, and you want to set the false value to true and save it. Running this again, the server should fully set up and a new world will be generated. To stop the server, all you need to do is type stop into the terminal. Note, another file similar to this which you will need to use sudo nano to open is server.properties. Within this terminal, you can execute commands like having cheats enabled in-game or being an operator. If you want to give someone cheats and operator, just type op name. If you want to deop someone, just type deop and their name. If you want to speak on the server as the server, just type in say and the message you want to say. There's a lot more commands you can do, and documentation can be found of these. When you set up a Minecraft server, you have complete freedom of how you use it. If you want to import a world, all you need to do is replace the world folders. Porting a single player world or a custom map, which doesn't require much, is simple, as all you need to do is replace the folders. If the custom map requires special permissions like command blocks and resource packs, more work is required. In the properties file, you can edit the details such as the difficulty of the world, the size of spawn protection, the default game mode, if the world is hardcore, the max amount of players, if command blocks are enabled, the simulated view distance, the message of the day, and more. Side note, the simulated view distance is actually the number of chunks which the server will render for each person, so setting this to a lower value will make the load on the server a lot easier and could be better for more low-end computers. Large entity counts and calculations will also slow down the server, so be cautious of this. Adding plugins to your server is also very simple. They are simply drag and drop no matter if it is Windows or Linux. Typically, plugins will create a folder with a settings text document you can edit. Now with the final step, which is the most important. For others to be able to connect to your network, you need to forward your server to the internet. This means that you need to forward the port that your Minecraft server is connected to the internet. Firstly, you want to find your internal IP address on the computer you are running the server on. On Windows, you can open a command prompt, then type in ipconfig. With a little bit of looking, you should be able to find an IPv4 address like this. The actual internet adapter may be different, but it should be similar. On Linux, you open a terminal and type ifconfig. If NetTools isn't already installed, you would want to use the sudo apt install nettools command, which your terminal should provide to you. Then just type in ifconfig and look for a similar IPv4 address. With your internal IP, you can now start forwarding your port. In a browser tab, search 192.168.1.1. Depending on the modem you have, the site may be different. After logging in, you should be looking for the Port Forwarding or Virtual Servers tab. Once inside, set up a new forward profile and make sure the internal and external ports are set to 255.65 and the internal IP is set to the internal IP we just found. Then make sure it has both TCP and UDP enabled and save it. Now to test this in your Minecraft client, type in your public IP into the direct connection option and connect to this server. If you can connect to it, then your server works and now anyone can join by using this IP. With this port forwarding solution, you want to be careful with who gets your IP. If it's in the wrong hands, it can be very dangerous. You should only give your IP address out to people who you find trustworthy and who you know it is safe with. This concludes the video. If you have any questions, chuck them in the comments and stay tuned.